Chapter 1 Douluo Continent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Star Luo Empire, Royal Palace. After a heavy snowfall, the entire palace was covered in silver, and the cold north wind made people not want to go out. Hey, come and eat. In front of the remote Ling Palace, an eunuch wearing a thick cotton-padded jacket handed the cold lunch box through the hole in the wall and shouted to the Ling Palace with a loud smile, "The hole in this wall is extremely small, no different from a dog hole." A pair of dry yellow and thin little hands stretched out their fingers and carefully clasped them on the lunch box, but immediately retracted them with a brush. In this cold weather, the iron lunch box is extremely cold. Behind the cold palace wall, a faint groan of pain could be heard, but not long after, the thin index finger that was red from the cold stretched out tremblingly, and then clasped it tightly on the lunch box. No matter how cold the iron box was, it never let go. With a squeaking sound, the lunch box was dragged in through the hole like a dog hole by small hands. Seeing this, the eunuch and the surrounding eunuchs and maids burst into laughter. "Ha, little cub is eating. Little prince, although the food is cold, you can still eat it. Don't resist. Don't die with your thin arms and legs. Otherwise, how will we explain to the queen? That bitch dared to offend the queen. Now, although she is dead, as her son, you will have to suffer a lot. Eunuchly, you have done so well in the past few years, the queen will definitely reward you. When the time comes, don't forget us," a eunuch said flatteringly to the eunuch who handed the lunch box to Ling Gong. Good to say. After the laughter, a group of eunuchs and maids left happily, as if promotion and fortune were just around the corner. In the cold palace, a little boy of 5 or 6 years old looked at the lunch box dragged in. He was silent for a moment, gritted his teeth, and used force to separate his index finger from the iron lunch box. In an instant, blood flowed. The weather was too cold. After just a moment of contact, the index finger and the iron surface were stuck together and could not be separated. The little boy's expression suddenly became ferocious. He immediately put his index finger into his mouth to stop the bleeding, and then staggered towards the cold palace with broken windows. After entering the house, he hooked the door with his feet, and the wind and snow suddenly disappeared. But the cold wind still rushed in through the cracked window. Although the little boy was wearing a thick, cotton-padded jacket, the cotton inside had long been emptied out. Although it could provide some protection from the cold, it was only a guarantee that he would not freeze to death. The little boy threw the lunchbox aside, looked at the broken window, ruthlessly removed it with one hand, and then groped for 2 flints and some charcoal from under the bed. Carefully hold the charcoal into a groove on the ground, then endure the pain and use a flint to ignite the charcoal. Then remove the wood from the window frame one by one and throw it into the groove to ignite it. Soon after, the fire started to rise, and there was a hint of warmth in the cold room. The little boy kicked the lunchbox next to the fire with his feet and used the fire to heat the food in the lunchbox. His chapped hands, which were frozen, were extremely itchy under the baking of the flames, but this warmth is so hard-won. The little boy's name is Dai Yao, and he is the son of the current emperor Xingluo. But his mother was jealous of the queen. After her mother fell out of favor, the mother and son were relegated to the cold palace. After his mother died, he, the so-called prince, seemed to be forgotten, completely trapped in this small and cold palace. No need to think about it, this must be the queen's fault. For 6 years, Dai Yao suffered humiliation in the cold palace. Under the instructions of the queen, the eunuchs and maids in the palace tried their best to bully him. In the summer, he liked to enjoy the shade under the big tree in the courtyard. After people knew about it, the tree was cut off the next day. He stayed in the pond for an extra second, and no one in the pond was there. All the creatures were scooped away by several palace maids. He had already told the eunuchs about the broken window, but no one came to repair it. And he couldn't leave the cold palace and could only endure the cold of winter. If it weren't for the Presbyterian Council of the White Tiger family, which is responsible for the safety of all the descendants of the White Tiger family, I'm afraid he would have been beaten and kicked by those eunuchs. But the loneliness of being trapped in a cold palace for nearly 6 years still drove him crazy. After eating some food, he finally felt better. Looking at the orange flames, he couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Tomorrow I will be 6 years old, and my martial soul will be awakened. If my martial soul is not strong enough, even the Presbyterian Council will not protect me for the rest of my life. By then, it will really be my death. Thinking of this, his eyes couldn't help but darken. If that's the case, I might as well have froze to death in the past few winters. Isn't it just to awaken a good martial spirit and avenge my mother? Although his mother nominally died in depression after being relegated to the cold palace, he knew that was not the case at all. She was killed by the queen's people. Dai Yao could not help but breathe quickly, clenching his fists tightly, as if he had forgotten the pain. Bitch, I will definitely make you pay with blood. That the cold moonlight shot in from the high wall of the cold palace, adding a bit of coldness to the cold winter night. While adding firewood, Dai Yao shook his head helplessly and thought. Among those Douluo fans, the protagonist is not a popular drinker. He inherits the legacy of Wei Wu and picks up girls in Douluo Continent. Why am I so miserable? Yes, he is a time traveler. In his previous life, he was a native of Earth and came to Douluo Continent by accident. In his previous life, he was just an ordinary person. When I was studying, I worked as a question writer, and after I graduated, I worked as a laborer. I didn't have any commendable talents. From childhood to college, I was just mediocre, with nothing spectacular happening. He is not tall and looks very ordinary, neither handsome nor ugly. In this life, although he was still young and skinny, his handsomeness that could not be hidden was slightly revealed. In his previous life, his parents often taught him to be an upright person and try not to trouble others. However, it was only after he started working that he realized that such a person was not suitable to survive in society. This kind of person is what people often call an honest person. Of course, honest people are no longer a compliment these days. I will never be an honest person again in this life. That when he thought about what he had experienced today and the bullying he had suffered over the years, his eyes suddenly became fierce. The rule of the world is that the weak eat the strong. This was the case in the previous life, and it is even more so in Douluo Continent. I will become cruel and let those bullies my people all pay the price. In the evening, there was a knock on the door, which shocked the snow on the eaves. Dai Yao quickly put out the fire, fearing that outsiders would see it and spread the news to the eunuchs. The eunuch has a mutilated body and a twisted personality. He will use any means to please him. When he opened the door, he found a middle-aged man standing outside. Third uncle. Dai Yao said in surprise. The third uncle's name is Dai Hengyu, and he is the third brother of the current Xingluo emperor. However, due to his martial arts, he did not participate in the competition for the Xingluo throne, so there is still a so-called family relationship between them. Among the people Dai Yao had met, his third uncle was the only one who showed kindness to him. Hey! Looking at Dai Yao's bruised appearance, Dai Hengyu's heart was full of self-blame and powerlessness. He and Dai Yao's mother were close friends, and she entrusted Dai Yao to him before she died. But he is just a prince with no real power. What ability does he have to save the people in the palace that the queen cares about? But it will be different after tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day when you awaken your martial spirit. I'm here today to tell you something. Dai Hengyu picked up Dai Yao and comforted him. What's going on? It's about your future. Maybe you won't have to live in this cold palace anymore. Our Dai family is the Star Luo royal family. From ancient times to the present, the top beast martial spirit, the white tiger spirit, has been passed down. However, the more powerful the martial spirit, the harder it is to inherit it. Only a few people in each generation of our Star Luo Empire can awaken this spirit. Wu Huan, and these people will be named princes. In terms of inheriting the martial spirit, if a person who possesses the white tiger spirit and a person who possesses the nether cat spirit combine, their offspring will have the highest probability of inheriting the white tiger spirit. Therefore, the wives of every generation of Xingluo emperors are women from the Zhu family. The Zhu family has a rumor about the nether civet martial spirit. At this point, he smiled bitterly. Just like me, your mother's martial spirit is not the netherworld spirit cat spirit, so there is a high probability that she will not be able to inherit the white tiger spirit. At that time, if you continue to stay in the palace, you will suffer for the rest of your life. So when you awaken your martial spirit, I will take you to the Council of Elders. The Council of Elders is the organization mainly responsible for managing the internal affairs of the White Tiger family. Record the concubines, names, and titles of the children of the family, undertake a lot of things such as the awakening of the martial arts souls of the children of the family, the practice of mimicry, the acquisition of soul rings, and the burial after death. The Council of Elders is jointly led by 7 family elders above the Contra level, and has jurisdiction over a large number of clan members. Thank you for your kindness, third uncle. But I know that you can hide for a while, but not for a lifetime. If the Queen really wants to kill me, not even the Presbyterian Council can protect me. Dai Hengyu was surprised by Dai Yao's maturity. He didn't look like a 6-year-old child at all. But if I don't awaken a powerful martial spirit tomorrow, I'll have to ask my third uncle. After bidding farewell to his third uncle, Dai Yao returned to the room and lit the fire again. If possible, he didn't want to live such a useless life. He endured the eunuch's beatings, scoldings and humiliations for 6 full years. A powerful martial soul may not necessarily create a powerful soul master, but a powerful soul master must have a powerful martial soul. In the original work, the master once said, "There are no useless martial spirits, only useless soul masters, but why are there no Ho Douluo or Blue Silver Grass Douluo in Douluo Continent?" Of course Tang San doesn't count, his martial spirit is the Blue Silver Emperor. Very few of these useless martial souls can become soul masters. The martial souls that can become Douluo are all powerful martial souls that are famous all over the world. It can be said that the martial soul determines a person's life. If Dai Yao couldn't awaken a powerful martial spirit, he would have to endure the humiliation and bear the burden for the rest of his life. P.S. Some changes have been made regarding the inheritance of martial souls. If it is true that the powerful martial spirits of both parents were inherited, then after 10,000 years, everyone's martial spirits will be the same kind of martial soul. Therefore, a setting was given. That is, the more powerful a martial spirit is, the more difficult it is to inherit it. PS2, a few chapters of a Douluo fanfic have been updated in 2 months. It's tiring to wait, so I'll try to write one myself. PS3, Chapter 1 has been modified. Chapter 2 Qinglian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dai Yao returned to the bed, sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, adjusted his breath, and entered a meditative state. In his spiritual world, there is a green lotus swaying gently. Perhaps, my fate depends on you. Dai Yao said to himself, this green lotus was the culprit of his coming to Douluo Continent. In his previous life, after working overtime until late at night again, he passed by the lotus pond downstairs of the company, but for some reason, he was attracted by a strange lotus in the lotus pond. The whole person seemed to be confused and walked towards the lotus in a daze. As a result, the whole person fell into the lotus pond. He naturally died because he couldn't swim, and then he came to this world. This lotus flower stayed in his spiritual world for 5 or 6 years, and he once wondered whether it was his golden finger. But when I think about other Douluo fandoms, the protagonist can get a chaos green lotus, Panguak's martial spirit, etc. when he signs in somewhere. Looking at the green lotus again, it looked harmless to humans and animals, and he couldn't help but rule out this absurd idea. Maybe this is my martial spirit. Dai Yao thought again. Could it be some kind of chaos green lotus? Forget it, I don't think about it anymore. There are still no clues. I've been guessing and guessing, but there's no answer. But since this green lotus can take me across planes, it must have something magical about it. It's just that I haven't discovered it yet. Anyway, this Qinglian is in my spiritual world. One day, I will be able to discover its secret. Although this Qinglian is not as powerful as those sign-in systems, it gives Dai Yao a special ability, sensing the presence of qi. Soul masters rely on the qi floating between heaven and earth to cultivate their soul power. From the day he sensed qi, he was ecstatic and devoted himself to the study of qi without sleep and food. He discovered that as long as he visualized Qinglian in the spiritual world, he could automatically start practicing. In the original work, Tang San didn't just practice Shantian Baolu, and then reached the full innate soul power when he awakened his martial soul. Therefore, he practiced diligently every day. Finally, a few years ago, his practice reached a bottleneck and his dantian could no longer store excess energy. As a result, his practice came to a standstill. but when he thought about awakening his martial soul tomorrow, he started practicing again on a whim. When he visualized the green lotus, the shadow of a green lotus also appeared in his dantian. In an instant, the free air between heaven and earth seemed to have found a pouring outlet, rushing towards Dai Yao crazily. Qi flows along the limbs and bones, passes through the tendons, and finally merges into the dantian. Whenever this happens, he feels that his body is flowing, as if floating in the water, refreshing and cool. In the dantian, the phantom of the green lotus rotates the energy of the dantian, dyeing it green and blue. The dantian is like a huge millstone, and the qi that has just entered the body is also driven to rotate, slowly crushed and assimilated. As he finished his work, the energy that had been assimilated was separated again and returned to the heaven and earth along the muscles and veins of his body. It still doesn't work. Am I facing the same dilemma as when Tang San was practicing Xiantian Baolu in the original work? I have to obtain the first soul ring before I can continue to practice. Dai Yao thought with some frustration. Tomorrow was the day to awaken his martial soul. Thinking of his life experience, he couldn't help but feel a little worried. There is a high probability that I will not be able to inherit the white tiger spirit. Although I have the Qinglian in the spiritual world, I still don't know its use after all. He stood up and walked through the snow to the courtyard. A bright moon hangs on the branches, exuding crystal brilliance. Seeing the bright moon, thinking about old friends. How were your parents in the previous life? How is life? How is your mother who loves to laugh doing now? Is his father, who is always serious but takes care of him secretly, still working in other places? Coming to Douluo Continent, my biological mother was murdered by the queen again. Emperor Xingluo, the person he calls his father by blood, is like a stranger, full of melancholy. He was separated from his relatives and his future was uncertain. In order to vent his emotions, he struck the trunk of a dead tree with his palm. Tree debris flew. A pain came, not from the surface of the palm, but from the inside to the outside, from the bones to the skin of the palm. This is this. Dai Yao looked at his palm and was shocked. On the tree trunk, a clear palm print was left. You must know that he is only a 6-year-old child at this time. Even if it is a dead tree, a 6-year-old child cannot leave any traces on his own. When did I have such a strong power? I obviously didn't use much strength. He was surprised. After the pain subsided, he split his palm on the tree trunk again, but no traces were left on the tree trunk, and the pain in the hand did not increase. Is it because of the qi? He had just finished practicing, and there was still qi in his arm that had not escaped. When the first palm was struck, the qi was consumed, and all the power was greatly increased. The second palm it has no energy, so it has no power. Just the qi that has not been dissipated is so powerful in my hands, so if I put the qi in my hands and then hack it out, how powerful it would be. Just do it. Dai Yao mobilized the energy in his dantian and let it flow in his arm. Then he waved his uninjured left hand and struck the dead tree with one palm. With a click, the dead tree held by one person was cut in half. But Dai Yao was not in the mood to see the miserable state of the tree. Severe pain rushed straight to his Tianling guy. Holy shit, it hurts. Dai Yao grinned in pain, as if the whole arm didn't belong to him. He found that his arm could still be bent slightly, and he said with lingering fear, this time I was too reckless, I almost broke my arm. The energy in dantian has also been consumed a lot, which means that this attack can only be launched a few times at present. However, the amount of energy can be adjusted to control the power. You can use this as a trump card when facing enemies in the future. How can a powerful move not have a name? Since it can burst out huge energy in an instant, and it is stimulated by 2 fists, let's call it Bajabang. He looked out through the crack of the door. Fortunately, Lungong is located in a remote place, and the movement here did not attract the attention of others. Go back to the house and continue to practice in the room to replenish the lost qi. The air of heaven and earth rushed into Dai Yao's dantian like a whirlpool, and the originally empty dantian began to fill up at a speed visible to the naked eye, and in his spiritual world, Qinglian swayed in sprinkled light dust. His injured arm also began to slowly heal. The next day, today is the big day for awakening the martial soul, so Dai Yao got up early. However, he was surprised to find that most of yesterday's injuries had healed. After punching with all my strength, my injured left hand no longer hurts. Only when I exert force, I can still feel some numbness. Is this also the result of Qinglian? It also has a healing effect. Chapter 3 Martial Spirit Awakening. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Royal Palace, Hall of Awakening. The Presbyterian Church is located in the Baihu Mountains outside the imperial city. The Baihu Mountains are known as the ancestral land of the royal family. Because of its remote location, there are also branches in the palace. The Presbyterian Council mainly deals with the affairs of the clan, and the royal family also belongs to the White Tiger lineage, so the awakening of each prince's martial soul is in charge of the clan mansion. Over a long period of time, as the in-laws of the White Tiger clan, the Nether Civic clan has become a subsidiary of the White Tiger clan, so the Elders' Council is responsible for the awakening of their martial souls. I will take you to the Awakening Hall. After you enter, someone will guide you. Just follow the instructions. Don't be afraid. Even if your martial spirit is weak, I can protect you. Dai Hengyu knelt on one knee and put his hands on each other. He comforted Dai Yao on his head. Thank you, uncle. After Dai Hengyu left, Dai Yao came to the Awakening Hall. There are 2 stone tigers on both sides of the palace door, with rough and lifelike lines. Standing in front, the 2 tigers seem to be about to open their mouths and pounce towards each other. This is the top beast spirit in Douluo Continent, White Tiger. Boy, the blood of White Tiger flows in your body. A rough voice sounded beside Dai Yao. Dai Yao looked around and saw that it was an old man with bulging muscles all over his body, like a humanoid tyrannosaurus. The hair and beard are both fiery red, and the whole person looks like a burning flame. The 5th elder looked at Dai Yao's messy clothes, combed Dai Yao's messy hair with his thick palms, and comforted, "My child, don't give up hope in adversity, hold on, the pride of our White Tiger family's bloodline needs your generation defends." You can call me 5th elder. The 5th elder is named David Lai. He is a Contra with a soul power of level 85. He is ranked 5th in the Council of Elders and enjoys a very high reputation. He has a fiery personality and hates evil, causing a lot of trouble in Douluo Continent. In order to tie him down, he was stationed in the palace by the Council of Elders to be responsible for the awakening of the prince's martial spirit. Let's go, I'll take you to awaken your martial soul. Many children are already here. As the saying goes, among the thousands of Douluo who have traveled through time, Brother Tao's awakening accounts for half of it. Well, awakening master Su Yuntao is unemployed. Dai Yao followed the 5th elder, complaining in his heart. When we arrived at the awakening hall, the hall was already filled with children, whispering to each other, and it was very lively. In the center of the crowd, there were 2 children holding the moon in their hands. One was obviously taller than the other children, and his blonde hair was very dazzling. He was handsome, with broad shoulders and a broad back. The most surprising thing was that his eyes were of different colors. The whole person standing there gives people a wild and domineering feeling. The other child is a girl, her black hair is like a waterfall, with a pair of cat ear-shaped hairstyles tied on both sides of her head. Decorated in black clothing, the whole person looks dignified and elegant. However, there was no trace of life in her black eyes, which were like ice, somewhat conflicting with her extremely beautiful face. His pupils are of different colors. Is he Dai Mubai? Seeing such obvious features, Dai Yao immediately identified this person's identity. According to his age, hasn't he awakened his martial spirit long ago? Why is he here? If he is Dai Mubai, then the girl next to him is Zhu Zhuqing. Among all the female characters in the original Douluo novel, Dai Yao's favorite is Zhu Zhuqing. She has a hot figure, is a peerless beauty, and is loyal to her feelings. Dai Mubai chose to escape the competition for the throne and went to Heaven Do, but left Zhu Zhuqing behind in the Star Luo Empire. However, Zhu Zhuqing still insisted on following and urging him. In Dai Yao's previous life, such girls were as rare as a rarity. Your name is Dai Yao? Dai Mubai asked condescendingly when he saw Dai Yao who had just entered. Yes. Dai Yao was a head shorter than Dai Mubai. What a beggar. Dai Mubai mocked. Dai Mubai's mother is the current queen, and his mother hates Dai Yao and her son deeply. I came to the awakening hall today, firstly to know how talented Zhu Zhuqing is, and if she is good, I can enter into a marriage contract with her. Secondly, I want to teach Dai Yao a lesson. That woman once humiliated my mother so much. Today, on behalf of my mother, I will show you some color. Dai Mubai said. Dai Yao's eyes narrowed, but then he lowered his head again, pretending not to hear. He knows that he has no strength now and has no ability to fight back against those malicious people. Now we can only continue to endure it, and wait until we have the strength to repay these grievances one by one. Be quiet. The figure of the fifth elder appeared between the two of them and warned Dai Mubai, third prince, it is not in line with the rules of our White Tiger clan to use the big one to bully the small ones. The competition between the princes can be based on their own methods, but for other clans, my dear, please be more tolerant. Although the fifth elder has a fiery personality, his teachings to the children can be described as instructive. Then he came to the center of the hall, stepped on his right foot, and a golden magic circle appeared on the ground. He said in a vigorous and powerful voice, "Children, a person's martial spirit determines his life. And our Xingluo royal family has passed down the White Tiger martial spirit from generation to generation, and every one of us in the Dai family is proud to have awakened the White Tiger martial spirit. Every emperor of Xingluo is the owner of the White Tiger spirit. They all stand out from the cruel selection according to the clan rules. The cruel tradition creates a great emperor, and only a great emperor can lead this great country. Today, I hope that someone among you can awaken the White Tiger martial spirit. Now, who will be the first to awaken the martial spirit?" That the children were so excited by what the fifth elder said that they stepped forward one after another, and the fifth elder chose one of them. When the little boy stood in the center of the magic circle, the fifth elder waved his hand, and a white light was injected into the ground. The magic circle engraved on the ground shone instantly, and golden light spots emanated from the ground, gradually forming a pale golden mask. Enveloping the boy, the sudden change made the little boy anxious. "Calm down and feel the changes in yourself," the fifth elder reminded. As the light slowly entered the little boy's body, he gradually became quiet. Then a pair of red ears appeared on his head, his hair turned fiery red, and a long tail appeared behind him. Red Cat martial spirit. The next step is to test the innate soul power. After speaking, a crystal ball appeared in the fifth elder's hand and motioned to the little boy to place his hand on the crystal ball. When the little boy put his hand on the crystal ball immediately glowed with gray light. Level 4 Soul Power. The fifth elder secretly sighed in his heart. This child's potential is not great. Among the huge clan, there are very few who can awaken the White Tiger spirit. The fifth elder looked at Dai Mubai, and sighed in his heart. Perhaps, there are only 3 princes in this generation. The next kid will awaken his martial spirit. The same scene appeared several times again. Most of these children were ordinary martial spirits, with only 4th or 5th level spirit power. The best one has a Black Panther martial soul with 8th level soul power. As fewer and fewer people are not awakened, the fifth elder's disappointment is getting bigger and bigger. At the end, there were 2 people left who had not yet awakened. The next one is Zhu Zhuqing. P.S. 2 chapters are updated every morning at 8:30. Chapter 4 Sacred White Tiger. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. When Zhu Zhuqing's figure walked out of the crowd, 2 eyes immediately fell on her. One is from Dai Mubai, and the other is from Dai Yao. She came to the center of the magic circle, and the golden mask rose again. As more and more golden light spots were absorbed, the fifth elder became more and more surprised. He has been in charge of awakening the martial soul for many years, and he clearly knows that the more light spots absorbed, the higher the strength of the martial soul. At this time, the amount of light spots absorbed by Zhu Zhuqing had already reached the amount absorbed by the black leopard spirit before, but the absorption of light spots had not stopped yet. It seems that she is going to awaken the martial spirit inherited from their family. Thinking of Zhu Zhuqing's surname, the fifth elder knew it clearly. As the absorption of light spots stopped, Zhu Zhuqing's figure also appeared. A pair of cat ears appeared on the sides of her head, and a tail grew out of her tail. The nails on her hands were elongated, like sharp blades, and every move she made was as graceful as a cat. Behind her trailed long black particles, like an emissary from the netherworld. There was no trace of life in his cold eyes. Sure enough, the nether civet martial soul. The fifth elder thought. Let's test our innate soul power again, kid. When she put her hand on the crystal ball burst out with brilliant brilliance. 9th level soul power, very close to innate full soul power. Her talent is even higher than that of the 3 princes. The fifth elder exclaimed. Child, you should know your family's mission. Every Zhu family girl who awakens the nether civet martial spirit will marry the Xingluo prince who awakens the white tiger martial spirit. The only prince who is not yet married is the 3rd prince Dai Mubai. Waiting for tomorrow after accepting the appointment from your Zhu family, you will become the 3rd imperial concubine. Yeah. Zhu Zhuqing replied simply. Dai Mubai immediately came to Zhu Zhuqing's side, and began to look for topics to chat with, but after all he hadn't made a marriage contract yet, so he didn't dare to get too close, but Zhu Zhuqing always seemed very cold to him. Next, Dai Yao. A figure walked out from behind the crowd. After seeing his appearance clearly, the children immediately started talking. Have you heard? He is the legendary Dai Yao who was demoted to the cold palace. Dai Yao. What he wears is so shabby. Is he worthy of being a member of my Dai family? Dai Mubai listened to everyone's ridicule towards Dai Yao and laughed. His mother is just a cheap maid, what kind of good martial spirit can he awaken? Dai Yao looked at Dai Mubai coldly. He insulted himself and his mother again and again, and the anger in his heart continued to rise. But when I thought about my situation, I endured it again. Are you ready? Asked the 5th elder. All right. The formation shone, and light spots on the ground flew out and slowly entered Dai Yao's body. Warmth. This was Dai Yao's first feeling, as if the warm sun in winter shone warmly on his body. The warm breath penetrated into the inside of his body, and he clearly felt that his spiritual world began to fluctuate, and a golden egg appeared. Then, under the pull of the warm breath, the golden egg began to break. Well, is it true? That the 5th elder noticed that the light spots absorbed by Dai Yao were similar to those absorbed by the red cat spirit, and sighed. It seems like it is another ordinary martial spirit. But then, he was surprised to find that Dai Yao, whose absorption had stagnated, began to absorb light points again, and the speed was far faster than anyone else. When the golden egg broke, Dai Yao was filled with frustration. He could feel that it was a very weak martial spirit. My last life was mediocre, and this life will be mediocre as well. Do I really have no chance to change my destiny? He thought bitterly. Immediately afterwards, the swaying green lotus shed a ray of green light and disappeared into the golden egg. The cracked golden egg healed immediately. As the golden light spots continued to be absorbed, the aura contained in the golden egg continued to increase. In the end, the powerful aura even made the entire spiritual world begin to vibrate. This is. Dai Yao felt a burst of ecstasy in his heart. It was the first time in so many years that he saw Qinglian take action, and his martial soul improved several qualities at once. What kind of martial spirit is this? The 5th elder became more and more surprised. He found that the number of light points absorbed by Dai Yao now exceeded the limit that the white tiger martial spirit could absorb. We must know that the white tiger spirit is already the top beast spirit in the mainland. What kind of spirit is more powerful than the white tiger spirit? There is controversy over the best beast spirit in the world. Some say the white tiger spirit, some say the blue electric overlord dragon spirit, and some say the phoenix spirit. However, there is no controversy about the best spirit in the world. That is the number 1 sect in the world. The clear sky hammer. The number of light points he has absorbed now has exceeded that of the clear sky hammer spirit. The surprise in the 5th elder's heart turned into shock. Finally, the golden egg shattered, and as an eternal tiger roar echoed in the spiritual world, a majestic giant shadow appeared. It was a mighty and domineering white tiger, a ferocious beast that fought with the giant dragon. The white tiger is completely white, without a trace of color, except for the word formed by 4 golden lines in the center of its big head. There are white whiskers growing around the mouth, like steel needles. The muscles of the limbs are knotted, containing explosive power. The canine teeth and claws are extremely sharp, better than ordinary swords. However, the most eye-catching thing is not the size of the white tiger, but the white wings on its back. I remembered it. When the 7 monsters attacked Jiaoling Pass in the original book, isn't this the image of the netherworld white tiger formed by the fusion of Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing's martial souls? Tang San once said that after the fusion of their martial spirits, they would be strong enough to reach the god level. Then wouldn't this double-winged white tiger be called a god-level martial spirit? However, a scene that shocked Dai Yao even more appeared. The 2-winged white tiger actually walked up to Qinglian and crawled on the ground like a kitten, as if to express his surrender. This Qinglian can not only transform martial spirits, but even god-level martial spirits must surrender to it. Qinglian, what on earth is this? Before he could think about it, his attention was attracted by the changes in his body. A strong white light burst out from Dai Yao's body. All the bones in his body crackled, and his muscles expanded instantly, holding up the torn mage clothes on his body. Even the surrounding air seemed to become manic. His blonde hair turned white, and 4 golden lines appeared on his forehead, 3 vertically and 1 horizontally, which was exactly the word. The hands also became larger, covered with white hair, and the 5 fingers were claw-shaped, like cold sharp blades. His overall body size has become much larger, but his previous figure was too thin, and when possessed by the martial spirit, he looked slightly more like a normal person. Behind him, a pair of meter-long white wings appeared. His change caused exclamations from the children watching, and at the same time they also felt the fear coming from the depths of their souls. This fear is not for Dai Yao personally, but for his own martial soul to be afraid of the top predator. Dai Mubai's eyes on the side were also filled with astonishment. Even though he possessed the white tiger martial spirit, he felt fear from Dai Yao's martial spirit. A trace of cold sweat fell from his face. This guy has finally awakened. What martial spirit? Zhu Zhuqing also turned around, but her face was full of confusion, because she felt a closeness from Dai Yao's martial spirit. Dai Mubai had also felt this sense of closeness, but it was far less intense than Dai Yao. The 5th elder looked ecstatic. He felt the tyranny of Dai Yao's martial spirit. Although this kind of martial spirit had not appeared in the family's history, there was no doubt that it was more powerful than the white tiger martial spirit. As a family elder, nothing is more important to him than the strength of his family. Come on, kid, come and test your innate soul power. Chapter 5 Emperor Xingluo. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. When Dai Yao put his hand on the crystal ball, he immediately felt a suction. The energy in his dantian seemed to have found an outlet, and it surged into the super crystal ball like crazy. The crystal ball immediately emitted bright light, illuminating the entire awakening hall. The light was so dazzling that many children couldn't help but close their eyes. However, the 5th elder did not close his eyes, but a fanatical look appeared on his face. Sure enough, with innate soul power, such a powerful martial spirit must awaken the innate soul power. Innate full soul power is extremely rare, and it rarely appears in the white tiger lineage. Among the 3 princes, there is not even one. What a gift! The 5th elder thought, but immediately he felt pity. Dai Yao, with your talent, no matter which family you appear in, you will be trained as the family's heir. It's a pity that you were born in my Dai family. Your talent is destined to compete for the throne, but now you are too weak, not even a soul master. And now the eldest Prince Davis is 15 years old, and his soul power has reached the soul master level. Even the youngest 3rd Prince Dai Mubai is 9 years old. The age gap is enough to smooth out any talent gap, let alone the 3. The prince himself is not bad in talent, and he is also the top talent. You are destined to be unable to compete with several princes, and you will only end up dead in the end. No matter how powerful the talent is, it cannot change the clan rules. The clan rules are the foundation of the strength of our white tiger family. Over the past tens of thousands of years, how many geniuses have died because of the cruel clan rules? The 5th elder struggled and pursed his lips, helplessly. Thought, after all, such talent is too rare. But the rules of the family have remained unchanged for tens of thousands of years. It can be said that the family has maintained its vitality and survived for a long time because of the cruel rules. I can only try my best to give you a relatively fair environment so that the forces behind the princes will have the least impact on you. If you are a genius, prove it to me. Amid the shocked gazes around him, Dai Yao came into contact with the state of being possessed by Wu Huan, and his whole body turned into the shabby, skinny, and small state again, but at this time, no one looked down upon him. No one would offend a person who was destined to become a powerful soul master, not to mention that he would become the fourth prince of the Star Luo Empire. They didn't flatter him too much, because when Dai Yao became the prince, his fate was sealed. He was destined to fail and die in the competition for the throne, but Dai Mubai was different. He felt disgusted with Dai Yao. After Dai Yao becomes the prince, according to the clan rules, he will also look for a marriage partner in the Zhu family. At present, the only person in the Zhu family who is suitable for marriage is Zhu Zhuqing. There may be variables in his marriage contract. Your martial spirit talent is extraordinary and has never appeared in the history of our clan. Please give your martial spirit a name. The fifth elder put away his sympathy for Dai Yao and turned to him and said kindly, "Let's call it the Holy White Tiger." Dai Yao felt relaxed at this time. With his powerful martial spirit, he finally got rid of the fate of ordinary people. Revenge is possible. At this time, everyone had finished awakening their martial souls. Some were disappointed, while others were happy and left with the people they knew. Zhu Zhuqing was very curious about the sense of closeness in Dai Yao. As Dai Yao got closer and closer, the sense of closeness became stronger and stronger. But she didn't take any action due to her cold personality. Seeing Zhu Zhuqing's eyes always focused on that bitch, Dai Mubai's heart rose with anger. He had been waiting for 3 years to find a suitable marriage partner. He had long regarded Zhu Zhuqing as his forbidden love, but her attention was actually attracted by a bitch. He came to Dai Yao. At 9 years old, he was a head taller than Dai Yao. He looked down and said, "You brat, don't think that awakening a good martial spirit is a big deal. When you get your first spirit ring, I will teach you a severe lesson." Dai Yao lowered his head and did not answer, as if he recognized Dai Mubai's words. Regardless of his past life or this life, he deeply understands one truth: you must remain in awe in front of a strong person who can control your destiny, no matter he is good or bad, good or evil. Now Dai Mubai is much stronger than himself. He has never seen the strength of a soul master. It is not certain whether his Bajibeng can cause effective damage to the soul master. If he is not sure of victory, he does not want to provoke Dai Mubai. Besides, Dai Mubai has a queen behind him, so he still has to endure it first. Night, Star Luo Palace. It was already midnight, and the world was shrouded in darkness, but the White Tiger Palace, which was responsible for handling government affairs, was brightly lit like daylight. Emperor Xingluo, who had just finished handling government affairs, rubbed his tired eyes, then stood up to relieve his tired body. He went to court at dawn and returned to the palace at midnight. Under the night and day, even a contra man couldn't bear it. He looked at the empire map behind him, thought for a long time, and asked the eunuch beside him, "How is the progress of the White Tiger army in the Principality of Santos now?" "Reporting to your majesty, since the Hautian sect announced its escape from the world, without the help of the Hautian sect, the White Tiger army has not made any progress in the Principality of Santos. Moreover, with the help of the Wuhuan Palace, Tiando's thieves will also occupy the place we previously occupied. Take it back." The chief eunuch looked at the tired emperor, feeling worried in his heart. He watched helplessly how this man sacrificed for the Star Luo Empire. Even Contra cannot bear this day and night hard work. Everyone only saw the great emperor roaring with thousands of people, and when he reached the peak of majesty, they never thought of how much this great emperor had paid. In order to unify the continent, he gave up his feelings and cultivation, but all of this was ruined by one person. Alas, Emperor Xingluo sighed. Why is Hautian Douluo so unwise? He made such a fuss over a woman. No. He's not a human yet. He's a damn soul beast. Thinking of this, Emperor Xingluo's blood surged. Once the Star Luo Empire formed an alliance with the Haotian sect, and the opportunity to unify the Douluo was right in front of them. However, a Haotian Douluo happened to fall out with the spirit hall over a soul beast. From then on, Haotian retreated from the world, and the Star Luo Empire complete withdrawal of troops. Even after 6 years, Emperor Xingluo still couldn't let go. Hundreds of years of hard work and countless proud soldiers were wiped out in that war. The Haotian sect says to escape from the world, but we, the Xingluo Empire, have consumed astronomical amounts of resources, but got nothing. Your Majesty, don't think about these troublesome things anymore. I have a happy event for your Majesty to tell you today. The personal eunuch immediately changed the subject. Oh, what is it? Today, another person in the clan has awakened the white tiger martial spirit, and the Star Luo Empire will have its 4th prince. Which branch is he a child of? Emperor Xingluo looked happy, thinking of the various heirs of the royal family, but he still couldn't think of the person who could awaken the white tiger martial spirit. Which woman does it belong to? The eunuch observed the emperor's face and said softly. That woman. The emperor was a little confused, but then he thought of something. The teacup in his hand fell to the ground with a harsh sound, and his face suddenly became ugly. It turned out to be her child. His expression kept changing, and he slowly spat out a few words as if he was stuck in his throat. Just follow the normal procedure of ennobling a prince and give him the treatment he deserves. The emperor thought about his past decision. His face was as cold as ice, and his indifferent tone was impersonal. It's like a meticulous robot that never makes mistakes. The chief eunuch felt extremely sad. He had followed the emperor for many years and knew the regret in his heart. After the emperor was in a better mood, he took advantage of the opportunity and said, Your Majesty, there are 2 people waiting outside the door. Oh, who are they? The queen and the 5th elder. Then invite them in. Xian, the queen and the 5th elder enter the palace. The eunuch said loudly to the door of the palace opened, and the first person who came in was a graceful and peerless beauty, with skin as smooth as gelatin and lips as red as pearls, but the cold light that flashed between her eyebrows and eyes from time to time was chilling. Behind the woman was a fiery red figure, which stood out in the dark night. It is the 5th elder. P.S. If you think it's okay, give it a recommendation vote. The new book period is really hard. Chapter 6 Duel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. See Your Majesty. They both bowed and sat down under the eunuch's guidance. Your Majesty, I have something to report to Your Majesty. What's up? That the 5th elder has never been involved in the affairs of the royal family. Today, when he came to the White Tiger Palace, Emperor Xingluo also became interested. The 5th elder bowed and said, The 4th prince of the empire has been born. According to the clan rules, we have to find a good match in the Zhu family. But now the only unmarried person in the Zhu family is a girl who has awakened the ghost cat martial spirit. So, I would like to boldly ask Your Majesty to give this woman to the 4th prince. The emperor was a little surprised. Why did the 5th elder take care of Dai Yao so much? He had nothing to do with Dai Yao. There must be something hidden here. No, the 3rd prince is not married yet. Why should he be engaged to the 4th prince first? The queen said with a gentle smile, her voice as sweet as an oriole, She came here tonight just for Dai Yao. The harem has always been under her control, and Dai Yao's situation is clear. However, I never thought that this brat's talent would be so high that the Presbyterian Council, which usually didn't ask about royal affairs, would come forward. Every time she thought of that woman, she gritted her teeth with hatred, and she didn't want to let go of that person's evil. So, how could she allow Zhu Zhuqing to be betrothed to that scoundrel? What the queen said is wrong. In our Dai family, we have never followed the order of elders and younger ones. This is true for the succession of the throne, and this is also true. Although the 5th elder was worried about the queen, for the continuation of Dai Yao's martial spirit, for the sake of Baihu, for the family's prosperity, he had to be on the opposite side of the queen. What's more, as long as it's something he thinks is right, he's never been afraid of anyone. Your Majesty, Mubai is your child. He has been waiting for 3 years for a suitable marriage partner. If a girl from the Zhu family is betrothed to Dai Yao, wouldn't it be a waste of Mubai's 3 years? The queen was soft and weak. Weak, cried to Emperor Xingluo. The queen. The fifth elder was about to retort, but was interrupted by Emperor Xingluo's wave. You don't have to argue. What you both said makes sense, but no matter who you marry that woman to, some people will be dissatisfied. My Dai family does not talk about the order of seniority. Since ancient times, the victor gets everything. This is true for the succession of the throne, and it is also true for this matter. The emperor's words were as cold as the rules of the Dai family. Let the two of them duel, and the one who wins gets the right to marry. After hearing what Emperor Xingluo said, both of them were a little happy. From the queen's point of view, Emperor Xingluo still favored her. Although it was a duel, the age gap between Dai Yao and Dai Mubai was too big. In terms of strength, Dai Mubai had an absolute advantage. Dai Mubai had already reached the 17th level soul at this time. Due to their strength, the outcome of the duel between the two can only be Dai Mubai's victory, and the current result is the purpose of the fifth elder. It is undoubtedly a whim to betroth Zhu Zhuqing to Dai Yao. Just like bargaining, first cut a price that others cannot accept, and then put forward the price in your heart, which will be more acceptable to others. The fifth elder made this proposal to lay the groundwork for the final goal. Your Majesty, His Highness the fourth prince has not yet obtained the soul ring. Can we wait until he becomes a soul warrior before engaging in a duel? Asked the fifth elder. That's agreed. The emperor replied, looking at the queen who was about to retort. The emperor stopped her and said, Our white tiger family has never been afraid of challenges. If he can't defeat someone who has just obtained the first soul ring, what qualifications does Dai Mubai have to be called the Prince of Xingluo? My child, I will fight for the opportunity to give you. Whether you can seize it or not depends on you. The fifth elder sighed in his heart. It was obvious that he was not optimistic about Dai Yao. After all, the gap in soul power between the two was too big. The news that Dai Yao had awakened the sacred white tiger martial spirit and was ennobled as the fourth prince began to spread to the mainland like lightning. In the palace, several eunuchs who had bullied Dai Yao suddenly changed their expressions when they heard the news. They were sure that Dai Yao would only awaken a useless martial spirit and there would be no room for improvement in the palace, so under the queen's instruction, they bullied Dai Yao unscrupulously, and now, Dai Yao, who has a powerful martial soul, will definitely become a powerful soul master in the future. Although he will definitely fail in the competition for the throne, he is a prince after all, and there will be no problem in dealing with them. The only plan now is to eliminate the previous hatred before the fourth prince becomes stronger. If that doesn't work, then Eunuch Li made a cutting motion with his hand knife. All the eunuchs were shocked when they looked at Eunuch Li with a cruel look on his face, but thinking of the situation at this time, there was no good solution. Return to the cold palace. Dai Yao went home worried. He looked up and saw several eunuchs waiting anxiously in front of the door. Seeing Dai Yao, all the eunuchs hurriedly knelt down on the ground. Eunuch Li hugged Dai Yao's leg and said flatteringly, Congratulations to His Royal Highness the fourth prince for awakening the white tiger martial spirit. In the past, it was the few of us who were blind and did not recognize Taishan, and offended your highness. We know that our sins deserve death. We all hope to do something for His Highness. Although no matter what we do, we can't make up for the harm done to His Highness, but if we can reduce even a trace of His Highness's hatred, we will be satisfied. Dai Yao sneered in his heart, but remained calm on the outside, and replied, I have known each of you, father-in-law, since I was a child, and I know that you all have your difficulties. But the things I have suffered in the past have made it difficult for me not to hate you, so I want to. If I let you go, it depends on your performance. He said this on his lips, but he didn't think so in his heart. Hunger, pain, cold, these painful feelings tortured him for 6 years. These pains are unforgettable and he will never forget them in his life. He wanted to skin them and tear them apart, so how could he let them go? Although he is a prince now, he has not established any power. If a prince directly deals with several eunuchs, it will lower his evaluation in the royal family and the family. If he wants to deal with the queen, he has to show his potential. Such idiotic behavior will definitely drive away potential investors, but most importantly, he wanted to keep a steady hand. He lives in the cold palace, and is cared for by eunuchs inside and outside. If they have evil intentions. Although he had awakened his martial spirit, he was only 6 years old after all, and he had been lacking nutrition for a long time. He was unable to defeat 4 hands with his 2 fists, and he could not escape death. So in order to prevent them from jumping over the wall in a hurry, now when they beg for mercy, we have to give them a chance to make them feel that there is a possibility of making amends. After blasting away the eunuch, Dai Yao returned to the room. I saw that the house had a brand new look. It was cleaned cleanly, many decorations were added, the broken windows were repaired, and even the collapsed walls were repaired. There is also a sumptuous meal on the table. Dai Yao sneered, no matter how much you do, it's useless. Tomorrow, you just wait for my revenge. As the saying goes, repay kindness with kindness and revenge with hatred. He has never been a person who repays kindness with kindness. When others bully him, he will repay them twice as much when he has the ability. Tonight is just to prevent them from jumping over the wall in a hurry, so we need to be on the safe side first. They'll just have to wait and see when the prince officially ascends the throne tomorrow. Now, he has more important things to do. Chapter 7 Twin Martial Spirits. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. When awakening the martial soul this morning, besides awakening the white tiger martial soul, he discovered that there was another strange aura in his body. It seems that as long as the Dantian Qi in the body is mobilized, it can be revealed, but he resisted the thought. That aura is most likely his second martial spirit, if he showed his second martial spirit in front of everyone. By then his enemy will no longer be the queen, but the entire continent. The Qindo Empire will not tolerate him, the 7 major sects will not tolerate him, and even within the Star Luo Empire, there are many people who secretly hope for his death. Just a white tiger family cannot protect him. It was a good choice to seek refuge in the Spirit Hall, but he was now in the Star Luo Empire, and it was the Imperial Palace. As long as he showed the slightest intention of seeking refuge in the Spirit Hall, the first person to kill him would be the White Tiger family. In the original work, Tang San awakened his twin martial spirits, but was secretly protected by his father, a title Douluo. And what about him? Before awakening the martial spirit, even survival is a problem. Even if he is extremely talented now, no noble will invest in him, a prince who is destined to fail. Nowadays, the influence of Queen Zhu's family spreads to every corner of the Star Luo Empire. Emperor Xingluo is ruthless. In his eyes, power is more important than anything else. No one can protect him, he can only rely on himself. You have to be careful every step you take in the future. If you take one wrong step, you will be doomed. Dai Yao took a long breath, calmed his heart, mobilized the energy in his dantian, and summoned that strange breath. When the energy of his dantian came into contact with the strange aura, he was immediately surprised. Wind blew up from the ground in the room, and the air flow blew his clothes and his hair flew. The strong air flow blew him so hard that he couldn't open his eyes. All the air flow converged on the palm of his hand, and a green lotus appeared. Sure enough. Dai Yao thought thoughtfully, the green lotus has 12 leaves, and in the center is a flower that has not yet bloomed. The pink petals are layered in layers, and the countless number seems to be nurturing something. Since you brought me to Douluo Continent and became my martial spirit, I have to give you a name. It doesn't sound good to keep calling you Qinglian. Let's call you Chaos Qinglian. After saying that, he took back his martial spirit. However, what he didn't know was that the moment Qinglian appeared, the restless soul beasts in the iron cage of the royal beast palace suddenly became quiet. Everyone walking on the ground and flying in the palace looked in the direction of Ling Palace. Even the blue-silver grass that can be seen everywhere on the ground moves towards the cold palace, as if surrendering to the great emperor. Unfortunately, the strange scene only appeared for a short while and no one noticed it. The second day, a group of people gathered in front of Ling Palace, carrying silks and rewards. The leader was a eunuch with a pink complexion and gentle movements. This eunuch is the current emperor's personal eunuch, and every move represents the emperor's will. And he is also a contra himself, and he is second to none among the eunuchs. No one knows his name, they just call him Eunuch Gui. The middle-aged man beside him was Dai Yao's third uncle Dai Hingyu. Eunuch Gui knocked on the door, but there was no sound for a long time. After a while, eunuch Gui became impatient with the waiting. Dai Hengyu immediately said, "Father, maybe the child is naughty and snoozes. Let's wait a little longer." Knocked on the door again, but still no movement. The clay figurine was also very angry. Eunuch Gui shouted, "Here, open the door." As soon as he finished speaking, a eunuch jumped lightly, crossed the nearly 3-meter-high wall, came to the yard, and opened the door from the inside. Then a group of people rushed straight to the house in a hurry, opened the door, glanced inside the house, and found Dai Yao lying on the bed in pain, breathless. Seeing this situation, Dai Hengyu was furious and said, "How brave! How dare you do it in the palace?" Yesterday I sent Dai Yao to wake up and he was fine, but this morning he became so ill, and Dai Yao didn't go out of the palace. There was only one person who had the motive to take action, but he really didn't expect that crazy woman to completely ignore the rules and do something in the palace. He helped Dai Yao up and looked at Dai Yao's skinny appearance. He suddenly felt sour and asked bitterly, "Little Yaoer, how are you?" "I'm fine, cough cough, it's just that I haven't eaten for a long time," Dai Yao said with a painful look on his face. "There is so much food on the table, why do you say you haven't eaten anything?" Gui eunuch asked, pointing to the table of food that the eunuchs had set out yesterday for atonement. Dai Yao doesn't eat, simply because he wants to keep his hands steady. Who knows if there is poison in the food? He had just awakened his martial spirit, and it would be a big loss if he died because of this greed. He looked at eunuch Gui and thought that he had finally waited for you. Revenge is about to begin, starting with the eunuchs who have bullied me all these years. What this father-in-law doesn't know is that these years, I have been unable to eat. All the food delivered in the imperial kitchen has been snatched away by a few eunuchs outside. Yesterday, after they found out that I became the 4th prince, they apologized to me. This table of food was sent by them. However, I have been eating nothing but cornbread for a long time, and there is not much oil and water. Look at this table of big fish and meat. I was worried that it would ruin my stomach, so I didn't eat." Eunuch Gui looked at Dai Yao, who was obviously malnourished, and knew that what he said was true, but as a contra, he clearly felt that Dai Yao seemed to be weak, but actually he still had strength hidden inside. He pretended to be like this, obviously wanting to use his knife to kill people, and wanted to use his hand to get rid of the eunuchs who bullied him. What a good boy. He has such a palace at such a young age, and with his outstanding talent, he will become a great talent in time. It's a pity that he is too young, so he is destined to not be able to win against several highnesses. Eunuch Gui thought to himself. As Dai Hengyu looked over, Eunuch Gui suddenly felt pressure. Insulting a member of the royal family is a capital offense no matter what. But those eunuchs were the queen's people after all, so it was a bit troublesome to deal with them. Dai Hengyu is just a prince with no real power, and eunuch Gui is not afraid of him, but behind his back he represents the entire Presbyterian Church. Once this matter is brought to the Presbyterian Council, it will not be a simple matter. When the matter becomes big, even he, a close eunuch, will find it difficult, and he will lose the face of the entire royal family. Now all we need to do is follow the wishes of the 4th prince and take care of the eunuchs to satisfy the 4th prince, and then big things can be reduced to minor matters and trivial matters can be reduced to nothing. Eunuch Gui once again lamented Dai Yao's palace and ordered, "Come here, bring me Xiao Lizi and the others." After Dai Yao was named the 4th prince yesterday, he immediately realized that this was an opportunity for revenge. With the help of eunuch Gui and the power of the Council of Elders, he could achieve his revenge. Those eunuchs would definitely die. Chapter 8 Engagement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Spare your life. Please spare your life, 4th prince. The 4th prince has a lot, please spare us. Damn the small ones, damn the small ones. Several eunuchs were laid on their backs and their buttocks were beaten with wooden sticks by several warriors until their skin and flesh were torn. Several eunuchs had fainted from the pain, and the rest were still begging Dai Yao for mercy and begging to let them go. When he was bullied by them before, Dai Yao wanted to kill them, but now that these eunuchs were beaten black and blue, he felt nothing in his heart. Behind them is the queen, and Dai Yao's real enemy is also the queen. Getting rid of these minions is not a loss to the queen, he just wanted to breathe. Years of bullying formed a knot in his heart. After the resentment in his heart was released, he felt much more relaxed. "Your Highness, are you satisfied now?" Eunuch Gui asked with a smile. "Now that these people have tasted the bad consequences, let them go and drive them out of the palace." Dai Yao replied. "Then follow what His Highness said." Dai Yao was not a generous person, so he drove these eunuchs out of the palace and left them to fend for themselves. Not only did they lose their royal status, they had no relatives, they were also inhumane, and their living conditions were worrying. Moreover, people with different bodies will be discriminated against and bullied. "Let you experience my past life." Dai Yao thought silently in his heart. After he ate some food and his complexion improved a little, Gui Gongxing said, "These people are also our subordinates, and it is because of our poor management that such an appalling thing happened. My father-in-law assists your majesty, and there are many things to do. And with so many people in the palace, it is inevitable that there will be some good and bad. Father-in-law, don't worry about it." Dai Yao comforted. Eunuch Gui got down to business. The 4 princes should know that every prince will be engaged to a woman from the Zhu family. I've heard of this family rule. The white tiger martial spirit can be fused with the nether civet martial spirit, and their children can also inherit the white tiger martial spirit. Therefore, every generation of Xingluo princes will take daughters from the Zhu family. Now there is a girl in the Zhu family, Zhu Zhuqing, who has awakened the nether civet spirit. But now there are 2 princes who are not married. Therefore, your majesty means that the 2 princes will duel, and the winner will get the right to make a marriage contract. Dai Yao's eyes lit up. Although it is inhumane to use a marriage contract to bind Zhu Zhuqing for his whole life, in a society like Douluo Continent, there is no such thing as inhumane. Nobles have noble rules. Dai Yao does not have any noble sentiments, such as opposing the feudal monarchy and establishing a country where everyone is equal. As a prince, he is a member of the nobility. A revolution is a revolution of one's own life. In the eyes of nobles, it is normal for 2 people to enter into a marriage contract without any emotional foundation. As a noble, the marriage contract itself needs to be in line with the interests of the 2 families, and the opinions of the parties to the marriage contract are not important. For Dai Yao, as the prince of the Star Luo Empire, once a marriage contract is made, the couple needs to fight together to find a chance to survive. In the original work, Zhu Zhuqing is not only hot in figure, but also emotionally loyal. Together with Dai Mubai, they worked hard together, and with the help of Tang San, they finally got rid of the fate of Prince Xingluo. If he missed Zhu Zhuqing, he would not know the appearance or personality of the next marriageable woman. More importantly, he would not be sure whether that woman could support each other and never leave him in difficult days. Instead of waiting for a woman who doesn't know her background, it's better to fight hard and win the engagement. It's just that this duel is a bit troublesome. Dai Mubai's soul power has now reached level 17, and he has rich practical combat experience, and his own martial spirit has just awakened. Not only is he 3 years younger than him, but also has long-term malnutrition and a thin body. In a fight with him, I am afraid that the chances of winning are not great. But thinking of his Baji collapse, maybe he has a chance of victory. Eunuch, when will the duel start? We'll start after you get your first soul ring. Eunuch Gui replied. Today is a good day for His Royal Highness to confer titles, but His Majesty ordered that all the ceremonies be held after the result of the duel is known. Eunuch Gui pointed to the silks and treasures on the table and said, "These things are the rewards of the title. From now on, Your Highness's treatment will be adjusted to the prince level. Your Highness can call for food at any time when he is hungry and needs to be summoned. Do some maids attend to your household? Need not. These maids might be spies of the queen, and they might see something they shouldn't see if they come into contact day and night. I don't have the ability to guard against thieves for 1,000 days. Moreover, he has a very important secret. Baji Beng, as a trump card in the duel, cannot be exposed. More importantly, his twin martial souls cannot be exposed. Once exposed, there will never be peace." Eunuch Gui glanced around Lingong in a blink of an eye, and said, "His Royal Highness, if you have any needs, you can talk to our family and do what you can." If there is a need, I will tell my father-in-law. After saying goodbye to eunuch Gui, only Dai Yao and Dai Hengyu were left in the house. Dai Hengyu said complicatedly, I didn't expect your talent to be so high, so you can't follow me to the elders' meeting. Remember, once you embark on the road of fighting for the throne, there is no chance of turning back. Your life is in your own hands. On this road, several princes have come a long way. The eldest Prince Davis, 15 years old this year, the Empress's son, currently has a soul power of 31st level, and has just obtained his third soul ring. The second prince, Dai Yaming, is 12 years old. He is not born to the queen. He is a level 25 battle soul master and is the biggest rival of the eldest prince. Third Prince Dai Mubai, 9 years old, a 17th level soul master. And you, 6 years old, have not yet obtained the first soul ring. After hearing these words, Dai Yao had a clearer understanding of his situation. Now the ones who are expected to compete for the throne are the eldest prince and the second prince. Although Dai Yaming is 3 years younger than Davis, he is more talented than Davis. As he grows older, the gap between him and Davis will only become smaller and smaller. In the original book, Davis played on behalf of Star Luo Royal Academy, indicating that Dai Yaming failed in the competition with Davis, and Dai Mubai and him seem to be completely matching up. The age of the two is too young. The youngest Dai Yao and Davis are 9 years old. Davis has already become a soul master, and he has not yet obtained the first soul ring, and the gap in soul power of more than 20 levels is too great, but the competition for the throne is so cruel, and they will not give some discounts just because of the age gap. The world is inherently unfair. If you are a genius, then you have proved that you are talented enough to bridge the age gap. In the history of the Star Luo Empire, the emperors of Star Luo who succeeded in defeating the superior were the best in all aspects. When they were the emperors of the Star Luo Empire, they were able to suppress the Tiando Empire. In the original book, even after eating the fairy herb Chirue Tongtianju, Dai Mubai's spirit power only reached level 44, still 3 levels behind Davis. It can be seen how difficult it is to complete the bottom and overcome the top. Chapter 9 Royal Beast Garden. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. You will have a duel with the third prince in a few days. You must win this battle. Dai Hengyu sighed. I know, this is a bit difficult. After all, your competitiveness is too small, and no one will invest in you. But if you want to survive, you must prove your potential. This duel is a very good opportunity. Dai Yao nodded solemnly, I understand. The fifth elder values your talent. He won this duel opportunity. You have to thank him well in the future. If you fail, you will disappoint the fifth elder. Maybe next time, you won't have such a good opportunity. Dai Hengyu revealed the facts of this duel. If the fifth elder hadn't interfered, Zhu Zhuqing would have been betrothed to Dai Mubai long ago. After all, Dai Mubai was also the queen's legitimate son. If there were no fifth elder standing behind Dai Yao, who would care about a person with no background, to hang out, you must have power and background. Any investment needs to see a return. Dai Yao must win this duel. If he fails, he may be abandoned by the fifth elder. When the time comes, Dai Yao can't think of anyone who will support him anymore. After all, third uncle is not a powerful soul master, and his support is limited. After sending Dai Hengyu away, Dai Yao was left alone in the cold palace. He decided to wait for a few days to cultivate his body before getting his first soul ring. After all, he had been malnourished for a long time and might faint if he exercised even slightly. In the past few days, Ling Palace has been a lot more lively. After Dai Yao's instructions, the cold palace was gradually repaired, and the originally dilapidated places were given a new look. What he cared about most was food. As he was named the fourth prince, there was always someone waiting outside the door. He only had to call and food would be served to him. Although he has not obtained a soul ring and cannot cultivate his soul power, there are many things that can be studied in the process of recuperating the body. Regarding Wuhuan, he discovered 2 forms. One is a pure white tiger form without wings, but the strength of the martial spirit is also greatly weakened. The other is the form of the sacred white tiger, with its wings extended. However, the current wings cannot fly yet. they are just decorations. According to the fifth elder's inference, when he becomes a soul sect, he will be able to fly. As long as he doesn't meet Qinglian, the holy white tiger will never be afraid of anyone. In terms of martial arts alone, there is also the Baji collapse. Dai Yao discovered that the amount of qi injected determines the power of Baji Bang. If you are not injured, you can inject at most 10% of your energy. The last time I was injured, I was filled with 30% of my energy. 40% qi is the limit of your body, therefore, you need to focus on cultivating your physical strength now. As the strength of the body increases, the energy that the meridians can hold increases. At that time, it will be possible to perform Bajabang or even higher with 50% of the energy without injury. Early on the fourth day, Dai Yao appeared in front of the Ling Palace gate. There was already a carriage waiting outside. After several days of recuperation, Dai Yao looks plumper, but still thinner than normal people. It will take some time to make up for the missing nutrients. Today he went to get the first soul ring. Soul rings are taken from soul beasts, and generally powerful forces will raise their own soul beasts. In the original novel, Poison DouluoDalu has a sunset forest. The Dai family, which has been passed down for thousands of years, naturally has a place to raise soul beasts. It's called the Xingluo Royal Beast Garden. Compared with the rough sunset forest, the Star Luo royal family that has been passed down for thousands of years is much more scientific. Over the course of thousands of years, the family's seniors have long figured out what kind of soul ring the white tiger martial spirit should match. Among the first three soul rings, the most suitable soul skills are White Tiger Protective Barrier, White Tiger Fierce Light Wave and White Tiger Vitra Transformation. These three soul skills correspond to the mysterious water turtle, the earthwalking dragon and the diamond beast respectively. These three kinds of soul beasts are raised in the royal beast garden. After the third soul ring, the matching of soul skills is left to the white tiger children. After all, the family is only responsible for laying the foundation, and growth must always depend on oneself. In the original work, although Dai Mubai left the Star Luo Empire after reaching level 20, he still chose the diamond beast when it came to the choice of the third soul ring. The carriage drove for a day and a night and finally reached its destination. Opening the door curtain, what you see is a cliff rising from the ground. In the center of the cliff, there is a small gap. The width of the gap is more than 10 meters. To the cliff, it is a gap, but to people, it can allow several carriages to pass parallelly. After checking the identity, the carriage drove through the cracks under the leadership of the guards. Looking up from the crack, the cliffs on both sides extend straight up to the sky, and only a white line can be seen in the sky. In such strange surroundings, the creaking of the carriage was slightly unsettling. I don't know how long it took, but my eyes suddenly opened up. The originally high cliffs were sunken downwards, forming a circular pit, in which the forest was lush, and three stone walls divided the forest into three parts. Looking down from the sky, you can see a huge Mercedes-Benz logo. The chief guard got off his horse, came to Dai Yao, and explained, "Your Highness, this is the Royal Beast Garden. It is divided into three fan-shaped areas. Different soul beasts live in different areas, and the area in front of us only inhabits the Xian water turtle clan. The Xianshui turtle group here ranges from 100 years to 1,000 years, and the oldest one reaches 5,000 years. The maximum age of the first soul ring that a soul master can absorb is about 400 years, so Your Highness, you only need to look for it near the area of the century-old soul beast." Dai Yao nodded. Before coming here, he had already learned about the black water turtle, including how to tell the age of the black water turtle, the living habits of the black water turtle, and the weaknesses of the black water turtle, etc. The black water turtle is a docile soul beast that can form a hydraulic barrier when attacked. Although it has a gentle personality, it can go rampant when angry and is extremely destructive. Therefore, hunting black water turtles is also dangerous. Dai Yao slowly went down along the cliff road. The road on the cliff is extremely dangerous and can only allow one person to walk. There is a cliff on one hand and a cliff on the other hand. After an unknown amount of time, Dai Yao finally arrived at the bottom of the pit. What he saw was a natural area alternating with lakes and forests. Following the forest path, he began his journey to obtain the first soul ring. A guard suddenly felt something strange. He came to a secluded place and a woman appeared in front of him. The woman, dressed in a palace maid's attire, handed a small porcelain bottle to the guard and said, "This is animal heart powder, which can make the Xian Shui turtle go into a frenzy. Follow that boy Dai Yao and find one when he is not prepared. The older black water turtle and use it. The soul master who assisted him in hunting the soul beast has been stopped by me. No one can stop you. In a place full of soul beasts, he will definitely die." "Yes." The guard promised. After the woman left, when the guard was sneaking down to the soul beast forest, a voice sounded from behind. "Are you really going to do this? Once the matter is exposed, you and your family will be killed by you." The guard turned his head and it was the captain of the guard who was admonishing him, but he had no choice. He said emotionally, "Boss, I've had enough. Why can we commoners only awaken such inferior martial arts spirits? My ancestors guard this forest for the royal family day after day, year after year. Always accompanied by loneliness, why can they live in fine clothes, live in fine things, and live in debauchery? Aren't we all human? Why should they be superior to others? Now I finally have a chance. When things are done, my son will be able to marry a woman from the Zhu family. By then, my son's son will have a martial spirit that can be cultivated." That the captain of the guard was silent. He could understand the guard's thoughts, but those people's martial souls were powerful and naturally superior to others. He now has the promise of the queen's maid, and once he succeeds, he is very likely to obtain a martial soul that can be cultivated. If it were him, he might not be able to endure such temptation. I just want to advise you. That's all. You can make your own decision. Chapter 10 The Furious Xian Shui Turtle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the guard walking down decisively, the captain of the guard couldn't help but sigh, as people at the bottom, they are so helpless. The scraps left behind by the nobles are all rare opportunities for him, and they need to fight for them with their lives, even at the expense of the entire family, but he did not dare to stop the guard's actions. Once he stopped the guards, it would mean destroying the queen's actions, offending the queen, and ruining his life. Your Highness, I just hope you are safe and sound. The area where the black water turtle lives is extremely humid. Dai Yao feels very uncomfortable walking in this forest. The sun was shining brightly, and he was so tired that he was sweating profusely. Along the way, he found many mysterious water turtles, but they were all within a few decades or just over a century old. And they were still far from the goal he had in mind. The age of the Xian Shui turtle can be judged simply by reminding you. Generally speaking, when the age of the Xian Shui turtle does not exceed 1,000 years, the body length of the Xian Shui turtle will increase by half a meter every 100 years. The body length of the Xian Shui turtle that is 500 years old had reached 2.5 meters. The black water turtles Dai Yao encountered were no more than 1 meter tall. It's almost dark, we can't go on like this. Do we really want to go deeper? Dai Yao thought. No, although the black water turtle is very docile and generally does not attack humans, it will still be angered by humans entering its territory. It is better to stabilize it first and not go to places where the spirit beasts are older unless it is absolutely necessary. After searching for a while, still nothing was found. After some thought, he decided to search deeper. As the search deepened, the age of the soul beast also became older and older. In a pond, a 300-year-old mysterious water turtle was even found. Yes, this can only be used as an alternative. Dai Yao marked this location on the map. The closer each soul ring is to its limit, the greater the increase for the soul master. In the original work, the limit that a soul master's first soul ring can withstand is 423 years, so the closer it is to 423 years, the better. My current body still lacks nutrition, and the soul ring limit it can bear may not reach 423 years, so I have to lower my expectations and choose a Xian Shui turtle that is close to 400 years old. As long as I grow up smoothly and become a high-level soul master, I will be able to attach a soul ring to my second martial soul. By then, with the domineering talent of the twin martial souls, where can I go in this continent? As long as I maintain my stability now, although I may not be able to compete with monsters like Tang San, I can easily surpass the other 7 monsters. After marking, Dai Yao continued to move forward. Suddenly, his steps stopped. He swallowed nervously, because right in front of him, on the shore of the pool, lay a black water turtle that was more than 3.5 meters long and more than 2 meters tall. For Dai Yao, who is just 1 meter tall, this black water turtle is undoubtedly a giant. He backed away nervously. The Xian Shui turtle is a territorial soul beast, but it generally does not attack humans. As long as it evacuates its territory in time, it will be safe. Xian Shui turtle's fist-sized eyes also glanced at him and saw that he was exiting the territory, so he made no move to pursue him. Seeing the Xian Shui turtle motionless, Dai Yao's tense heart gradually relaxed. It's so dangerous. Why is there such an old black water turtle living here? Fortunately, it didn't do anything, otherwise it would have been a life-threatening situation. There was no one in the royal beast garden to help him hunt the soul beasts. The rules of competition for the throne were so cruel. Would anyone help him hunt the soul beasts? If you can't survive, you can only blame your own strength. Dai Yao understood the cruel rules of competition for the throne, but when hunting soul beasts, there were usually people who came to protect the prince and rescue him when he encountered danger, but since he came to the royal beast garden, he has never seen the soul master who protected him. They must have been stopped by the queen. They are quite scheming. Without help, they cannot take risks and can only obtain a low-level soul ring. He frowned secretly, however, just when Dai Yao was relaxing, a figure appeared in the forest. It was the guard. He took out the porcelain bottle given to him by the palace maid, opened the cork, and gently blew the powder in the bottle toward the Xian Shui turtle. Most of the powder dissipated in the air, but a small amount was still carried by the wind to the top of the black water turtle. Just a weak dose of this animal heart powder can make the Xian Shui turtle go crazy. I smeared the potion on my body so that the Xian Shui turtle can't notice me. The task is unexpectedly simple. My descendants can finally obtain the martial arts they can practice. The soul is gone. The guard suppressed the ecstasy in his heart. As long as Xian Shui turtle kills Dai Yao, his long-cherished wish will come true. Xian Shui turtle noticed something strange around him and sniffed the air with his nose. In an instant, his originally clear eyes became extremely red. It roared, swept around, and then flew towards Dai Yao. Although it is a turtle, it is not slow at all. The Xian Shui turtle's limbs alternated, and an afterimage appeared. Its huge body was like a cannonball, shooting towards Dai Yao. Holy shit, it went crazy so suddenly. He thought with fear as he looked at the flying black water turtle and felt the tremors on the ground. He didn't have time to think about it, and he immediately possessed his martial soul. He waved his short legs and quickly left the Xian Shui turtle's territory. Feeling the vibrations coming closer and closer to the ground, Dai Yao's scalp felt numb. When he looked back, he was so frightened that the black water turtle was only more than 10 meters away from him. Seeing the thick scales of the Xian Shui turtle, he immediately judged that it was absolutely impossible for Bajibang to penetrate it. The weak point of the Xian Shui turtle is in the center of its plastron. Not only does the Xian Shui turtle have high defense, but it is also fast. Its body is tightly attached to the ground. It is not easy to hit its weak point with one blow. It's a pity that the current wings can't take him to fly. Otherwise, the Xian Shui turtle would be unable to do anything to him while he was flying in the sky. The only option now is to run away. Between life and death, he had an epiphany. He gathered the spiritual energy cultivated with Qinglian into his hands and was able to unleash the powerful Bajibang. What will happen if the spiritual energy is gathered at the feet? The ferocious face of the Xian Shui turtle was getting closer and closer. Dai Yao gritted his teeth and quickly mobilized his spiritual energy to his feet. Boom! A foot hit the ground hard, making a dull sound, and the snow on the ground was blown away. The next moment, he flew 4 to 5 meters away. When he landed, he staggered and almost fell. Fortunately, he adjusted, stepped out with 2 feet alternately, and leaped on the ground. The distance between Xian Shui turtle and him remained unchanged, but it still clung to Dai Yao. Dai Yao was thinking about a way to escape. He was too far away from the edge of the circular pit and couldn't seek help from the guards. But when he saw the map on his waist, he suddenly thought, I can lead it to that only 300 years old. Go to the Xian Shui turtle of 2018. That Xianshui turtle will start a fight with it over its territory, and then I can take advantage of the chaos and escape. He immediately adjusted his direction, calculated the energy in his body, and jumped towards the place marked on the map. Finally, after spending 20% of his energy, he successfully arrived at his destination. Seeing the giant black water turtle rushing behind Dai Yao, the black water turtle that was lazily basking in the sun suddenly widened its eyes. What a disaster!